The original HeyBike Mars is one of my favorite budget folding e-bikes, not because it necessarily does anything special, but because it does exactly what you want and expect at the price. It offers great value for your dollar. The new 2.0 version of the Mars sees a bit of a price bump going from $900 to $1,200, but promises a number of upgrades. And actually for their initial launch, they're going to have the Mars 2.0 under $1,000, so it's actually not that big of a price jump. Overall, I was curious if the Mars 2.0 would deliver added value for the extra money, or if I was better off recommending the original Mars to you guys, so let's take a look at this new model and find out. I'll do a quick rundown of the components and see what's changed or been upgraded, and then we'll look at performance, which I think is the main big change from the previous version. Then I'll give you my verdict on whether or not it's worth the money compared to other similar e-bikes, and also compared to obviously the original Mars model. The frame is similar with a new reworked beefy rear rack and thicker rear frame arms. It feels almost identical when you actually get on the bike, but I do prefer the sturdy, simple look of the new design. The rack can carry up to 120 pounds now, so this can actually function as a great cargo bike with the addition of saddlebags or a rack. The components are very similar to the original Mars and standard at this price, with a 7-speed Shimano drivetrain and shifter and mechanical cable-driven disc brakes. It would have been nice to see an upgrade to hydraulic brakes on this new model, but the included ones get the job done just fine thanks to the big 180mm rotors. You get the typical short travel, spring-style front fork. It might just be my imagination, but this front fork feels more comfortable than the previous version with maybe a bit more travel and just an overall plusher feel. It's nothing groundbreaking, but if you add in the fat tires, you've got plenty of shock absorption and an overall really comfortable ride. The fat tires sit on 20-inch rims, but with the 4 extra inches of cushion, you end up with about 24-inch wheels. The wheels are also 4 inches wide for a ton of surface area and grip. The included seat post has a bit of suspension as well, but it has the same issue as the previous version, actually being too short to set to the height that I would like. I'm 6'1" for reference. It's manageable since it's an electric bike and I don't need to maximize the power in every single pedal stroke, but you might want to consider a seat post swap if you're over 6 feet tall. This version gets an upgraded center display and sleek new button cluster. The biggest thing that I like about the new display is the extra line of text here that makes it much easier to navigate the P settings, giving you info about what P setting you're changing without needing the instruction manual. And there's actually a lot to adjust here, especially if you want to unlock the top speed and performance that this bike's capable of. Long pressing the plus and minus buttons will get you into the P settings, and then you can change everything from top speed to the number of pedal assist settings you want to how aggressively the pedal assist kicks in. A lot of these can be adjusted from the HeyBike app, which is a new feature of the Mars 2.0, but if you're like me and want to avoid apps entirely, then you can, which I love to see. The original Mars just doesn't have this level of flexibility and customization. The thumb throttle stays the same, but you have the option to set the throttle speed to match the top speed of the pedal assist. For class 2 and 3 e-bikes, throttle speed is typically limited to 20 miles an hour, but with this e-bike you can bypass that, which is a really cool thing to see. This means you can operate it almost like an e-moped if you want, not needing to pedal at all to reach the very top speeds. So what kind of speeds can you get with the new 750 watt hub motor? Out of the box, it is limited to a class 2 e-bike with a top speed of 20 miles an hour for both pedal assist and the throttle, just like the original Mars. But with the proper P setting adjustments, I've seen displayed flat ground speeds of over 30 miles an hour and GPS speeds of close to 29 miles an hour, something the previous model just can't do. This higher top speed really takes this bike from a casual cruiser to a speedster, rivaling bikes much more expensive in terms of performance. With the fat tires and suspension, this thing handles the increased top speed with no issues. The feel of the pedal assistance also is drastically improved. Rather than kicking in at full power as soon as you start pedaling, it ramps up a little bit more gradually so you aren't snapping your neck back on takeoff. However, you can dial up the pedal assist to be a little bit more aggressive if you like it that way. I thought I would see a drop off in range with this version since you get the same 48 volt 12.5 amp hour battery as the 1.0 version, but I was pleasantly surprised. Despite cranking the P setting to the max so I could get the top speed and fastest acceleration, I still saw 20.6 miles of minimum range in my testing. And I actually think the majority of people considering a bike like this don't want or need to ride at the max speeds just constantly. So I see 30 to 40 miles being easily possible when you're just riding at normal, comfortable riding speeds. The beauty of e-bikes is that you can tune how much the motor is helping, and if you need the battery to last a long time, then you can just dial the pedal assist back a bit and extend the range. The way you ride has a huge effect on how much distance you can get. The folding mechanism is also entirely unchanged from the 1.0 model, and the bike folds down pretty quickly and intuitively with hinge points on the handlebars and in the center of the frame. The battery sees a new design and also now includes a USB port, which essentially turns it into a huge power bank. Another thing I always love to see is that you don't need to leave the key in the battery to operate the bike like you need to do on some models. The key is just there to lock the removable battery in place on the bike. It has an on and off switch, which you have to make sure to remember to use if you're leaving your bikes for long periods, or else the screen will display off in the corner and it slowly drains the battery when the battery is on but the screen is off. The weight is almost unchanged from the previous model as well. At about 80 pounds, it's not the easiest thing to carry around, but the grab handle is perfect for carrying it down a small set of stairs when unfolded. When folded, it can be a bit cumbersome to haul around, but it folds down small enough to fit into a car, meaning you don't need a bike rack to transport it. Let's do a roundup of the last few features on this Mars 2.0, and then I'll give you my verdict and who I think this bike would be best for. It comes with two fenders, one pre-installed on the back wheel, and the other needs installing on the front. I actually rarely install fenders if they aren't already installed out of the box, since they tend to make a lot of noise when riding off-road. It also comes with a front headlight, another thing I opted not to install since I like to keep my e-bikes as light and simple as possible, and I don't really ever ride at night. However, it's included for those who need to ride in the dark. I would suggest an additional handlebar light and a helmet light for maximum visibility. The rear brake light flashes when braking, but it doesn't stay illuminated when the headlight is on. Keep that in mind if you're riding at night, and be sure to get the appropriate accessories and gear. So if it wasn't obvious already, this gets a thumbs up from me. I already thought the Mars was a fantastic deal for the price, and the increase in performance on the 2.0 model is well worth the extra money just by itself. You also get the extra upgrades on top of that, like the new display and new high weight capacity rack. Unless you're on a really strict budget, I think the 2.0 is the way to go, especially with the introductory price of under $1,000. I suppose you could make an argument that if you don't plan to use the extra speed, then the original Mars could save you a bit of money, but having the possibility to go faster if you end up wanting that or needing to use that is worth the upgrade in my opinion. HeyBike once again delivers a bike that doesn't do anything crazy, but does everything right and gives you actual value for your money. This is a bike that's easy to recommend because it's something that I would genuinely spend money on out of my pocket if I was looking for a folding e-bike. You can check out the Mars 2.0 down in the description, hit the like and subscribe button on the way down there, and I'll see you in the next one.